Good day, everyone, and a very warm welcome. We are delighted to welcome you to the third International Conferences on Management, Education, and Innovation, or ICMEI 2026, hosted by the Institute of Industry and Academic Research Incorporated, or IRE, in partnership and collaboration with STI West Negros University. I will be your master, Mark Jeriel Manikin Rakasag of Aklan State University, the Philippines. We are truly fortunate to gather once again on site at STI West Negros University, Bacolod City, Philippines, and online via Zoom to share research findings that are valuable not only to educators but also to industry experts and practitioners. As the typhoon continues to intensify, may our participants, especially on site, stay dry and remain secure within the venue. We are equally honored to be joined by three distinguished keynote speakers from South Africa, Malaysia, and the Philippines, who will share their expertise on timely and relevant topics in research, teaching, and learning strategies. Today's gathering of scholars from different regions provide a wonderful platform for meaningful academic exchange. We hope that the insights, ideas, and nuggets of wisdom we gain today we will not only reach our own work but will also be shared with our colleagues and institutions long after this conference ends. As we begin this virtual conference, may I respectfully request everyone to pause for a moment and remember that we are in the presence of the Divine and Supreme Being as we formally open ICMEI 2026 with a prayer. Thank you very much. It has been 5 years since the incorporation of a small organization with a big vision. For any young organization, the journey is never smooth sailing. The road is often challenging. Yet, even amid unprecedented times, these challenges have opened doors to greater opportunities. There are many individuals who have been instrumental in the successes IRE has achieved within a relatively short period. At IRE, we value the trust and confidence of our partners, researchers, and collaborators. This journey is anchored not only on our commitment to quality publications, but also on our dedication to excellent support services. In just a few years, IRE has reached significant milestones in research, education, training, and community service, and we are only just beginning. Soon, we will continue to expand our network and widen our circle of influence. With great pride, we now present to you the IRE team and the people behind ICMEI. Thank you very much. There you have it, the milestones achieved by IRE so far, with many smaller steps leading to big successes ahead. To stay updated on IRE's upcoming projects and events, we invite you to visit the IRE website and follow the official IRE Facebook page. Join us as we continue creating milestones together. To formally welcome us to this conference, let us now listen to the welcome remarks from the conference chair of ICMEI, live from STI West Negros University, Dr. Liza Joy B. Barican.
Good morning and mabuhay. I would to greet good morning also to our online participants, distinguished guests, esteemed colleagues, and fellow researchers. It is with great pride and joy that I welcome you all to the International Conference on Management, Education, and Innovation 2026. We are deeply honored to co-host this prestigious event here at STI Negros University, a place committed to nurturing excellence, innovation, and global collaboration. This conference is more than an academic gathering. It's a powerful convergence of minds and ideas. Education and business, though distinct in their domains, are inseparably linked in shaping the future of industrialization and internationalization. The era of Industry 4.1, the 21st century skills demanded our learners and leaders are not optional. They are essential for success. ICMEI 2026 provides a platform where knowledge is shared, research is disseminated, and collaborations are forged. Through our diverse tracks, from educational leadership and pedagogy to business, hospitality, health management, and technological innovation, we reaffirm our commitment to advancing scholarship and fostering innovation across disciplines. As we embark on our journey together, let us be inspired to push boundaries, challenge conventions, and create meaningful impact. May this conference ignite new partnerships, cultivate camaraderie, and strengthen our collective vision for a future where education and business thrive hand in hand. On behalf of STI West Negros University and the organizing committee, the Institute of Industry and Academic Research Incorporated, I warmly welcome you all and let us make ECME 2026 a beacon of knowledge, innovation, and global transformation. Thank you and amen.
Thank you very much, Dr. Barikan. This conference would also not be complete without an inspiring message from the Director of Conferences and Events, Dr. Carrie Justin P. Estrellado.
Right. Once again, of course, good morning. Of course, a while ago, NDRMC as being bombarded me by SMS alert right now here in Visayas region, in Bacolod. And of course, still maayong adlaw. Great day, good day for online, of course, for our on-site participants. So we are grateful to have you with us on our third international conference on management, education, and innovation. And of course, for tomorrow, we have our third International Student Research Congress. Now, as of course, I am overjoyed to see such a collection of research papers, as you can see from our book of abstracts. And of course, your valuable intellectual equities are the fuel that ignites us toward a sustainable and, of course, meaningful research conversation. And as the director for conference and events, I'm also honored and grateful for the guidance of our founding president, Dr. Rod. Hi there. And of course, for the collaboration, to our institutional partner as well, and to our SDI, West Negros University, their administrators, faculty, staffs, and of course, working committee. And this actually an emergence or the emergence of continuous effort, sustainability, and of course, stimulation of our research ideas. Now, the theme for this year's conference is all about sustaining in business, in sustaining innovation in business and education, And we are here, of course, sustaining interaction. We are just more than, exchanging, having a polite exchange of research papers here. We are here to interact, collab, and form networks, right? So it captures the thrust of the IARI, in which we are reconfiguring the gap between theoretical frameworks and the real world applications. And as well, this conference is a convergence of a scholarship and a dedication of all participants. And I would like also to express my appreciation to our speakers, plenary speakers, because later on they're about to share great ideas and perspectives later. So thank you so much, sir, and to our speakers, keynote speakers later on. So, all right, without further delay, welcome aboard. Let us keep the conversation running and let us keep the research wheels turning. So, thank you and Godspeed.
Thank you very much, Dr. Estrellado. At this juncture, we will hear another inspiring message from the focal person of the ICMEI 2026 from STI West Negros University, Dr. Nicolas S. Caballero.
Mabuhay and isang mabagyong umaga sa lahat. Kasi may bagyo, patuloy tayo, di ba? Bagyo lang yan. Iyari at STL, West Negros University tayo. Of course, our guests from ERA, no? Especially our keynote speakers are here this morning. And my warm greetings to all, no? Our distinguished participants, online and on-site participants, our presenters and of course partners joining us in this third international conference on management, education, and innovation. And tomorrow will be the third International Student Research Congress. On behalf of STI West Negros University, I extend our profound appreciation to the Institute of Industry and Academic Research Incorporated, or IARI, for placing their trust in us as co-collaborator for these two important academic gatherings. Thank you, Dr. the President of IARI, for the trust to stay at West Negros University and for us to be given this opportunity to be the co-collaborator in the conference. Your confidence and reflect our shared commitment to fostering a vibrant and globally competitive research community. So all faculty members, student delegates, and institutional representatives from the Philippines and from various countries across the globe, thank you for your enthusiastic participation. Your presence strengthens the international spirit of these conferences and reinforces the significance of research collaboration across cultures and disciplines. To our research presenters, we commend your dedication and passion for knowledge creation. Every study you share adds value to our collective mission of advancing education, management, science, technology, and innovation. Your work inspires both peers and future researchers. To our facilitators, session chairs, technical teams, and organizers, your commitment and expertise ensure the seamless and meaningful conduct of both conferences. Your efforts, often unseen but deeply felt, make this endeavor truly successful. May these conferences continue to serve as platforms that elevate research conference, amplify diverse perspectives, and cultivate the next generation of innovative scholars and leaders. Together, let us continue to foster learning, collaboration, and innovation that transcend boundaries. Thank you, And may you all have an enriching, engaging, and inspiring conference experience. Aim high.
Thank you very much, Dr. Caballero. Before we proceed with the keynote address, we would like to present the plaque of recognition and certificate appreciation to the following key personalities of ICMEI 2026. May we request Dr. Carrie Justin P. Estrellado to present the plaque and certificates. We recognize STI West Northwest University as the conference collaborator of the third ICMEI 2026. We would also like to recognize Dr. Lisa Joy B. Barican as the conference chair of the third ICMEI 2026. And finally, we would like to present a certificate of recognition to Dr. Nicolas S. Caballero, the official focal person of the third ICMEI 2026. Thank you all for making ICMEI 2026 a success. Today's program is divided into four parts. The opening program with three keynote address, plenary research presentations from two distinguished educators and researchers, parallel sessions with multiple tracks and session chairs, and the awarding and closing program. We encourage everyone to participate actively in each segment as each offers unique insights and learning opportunities. Now, we are truly honored to have with us today a seasoned researcher, educator, and academic leader. Before I formally introduce our keynote speaker, may I kindly remind everyone to reserve your questions until the end of the talk. You may also post your questions in the chat box and we will address them during the open forum. Our first keynote speaker is a distinguished scholar, researcher, and academic leader whose work has made a significant impact in the field of language, education, and research development. Dr. Ariel E. San Jose is an Associate Professor 5 and currently serves as the Director for Lifelong Learning Development at the Southern Philippines Agribusiness and Marine and Aquatic School of Technology, or SPAMAST. Dr. San Jose is a recipient of numerous prestigious awards, including the 2024 International Luminary for Research, conferred by the Institute of Industry and Academic Research Incorporated. He was also a national finalist for the 2024 NSTW Research and Development Award for Applied Research and has been consistently ranked as the top one researcher at SPAMAST based on the AD Scientific Index from 2023 to 2025. In addition, he was recognized as PAMAST Best Faculty Researcher for 3 consecutive years. Beyond his research achievements, Dr. San Jose actively contributes to the global academic community as an editorial board member and reviewer for several international and Scopus Index journals. His academic journey spans teaching and leadership roles in the Philippines, Oman, and Indonesia, reflecting his strong commitment to internationalization and academic excellence. Dr. San Jose holds a Doctor of Philosophy in Education, major in Applied Linguistics, and specializes in psycholinguistics, discourse analysis, qualitative and mixed method research, and language studies. His expertise and passion for research and education make him a truly inspiring speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in warmly welcoming Dr. Ariel E. San Jose.
This famous actor once said that when I was 7 years old, I had been labeled dyslexic. I tried to concentrate on what I was reading, then I'd get to the end of the page and have very little memory of anything I've read. I would go blank, feel anxious, nervous, bored, frustrated, down. My childhood was extremely lonely. I was dyslexic, and lots of kids made fun of me. That experience made me tough inside because I learned to quietly accept ridicule. I had to train myself to focus my attention. I became very visual and learned how to create mental images in order to comprehend what I read. That's according to Tom Cruise. How many students do we have like this? Though they are successful in life, but they admittedly said that they experience how difficult to read. The Philippines has been ranked on the driver's seat. You name the ranking, we are always at the bottom. How can we address, or how this organization can address this problem? We are all researchers, and this is my call. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning to everyone. I am here to present to you my study, College Students Dyslexia Self-Assessment Awareness and Experiences. Many of us do not understand what dyslexia is, or even if we understand students with dyslexia, we regard them as dumb, lazy, because they do not know how to read. But it is our task as teacher, just like doctors. When we go to the doctor, we treat people who are sick. And students come to our classroom as patients to give them some medicine. This particular study is aligned with the United Nations Sustainable Development Plan, goal number 4, quality education, and sustainable development number 10, reduce inequality. It is also aligned to our college strategic goal number 1, delivery quality, relevant and accessible, mandated, and other lifelong learning program. And strategic number 8, improve student services and enhance delivery of quality education. Now, dyslexia affects reading and writing and language processing despite normal intelligence. Meaning to say, we can look someone normal, someone intelligent, but he cannot read. Its impact on self-confidence and social skills and academic achievement. An estimated 5 to 20% of the global population has dyslexia, mostly male. Many individuals are not diagnosed until adulthood, meaning 16 years old, because of the limited early intervention. In college, undiagnosed dyslexia is growing concern as diagnostic efforts are focused on the K-12. College dyslexia student struggles with reading comprehension, note taking, and exams, which harms academic performance. Emotional effects include low self esteem, social isolation, and relationship issues. A lack of faculty preparedness leads to inadequate accommodations in higher education, and dyslexia is often misunderstood as a reading problem, though it involves broader cognitive deficits like poor phonological processes, working memory, and rapid memory. Many countries, especially in Asia, the Philippines, lack official data on dyslexia, prevalence, and research in higher education. But we keep on moving, we keep on saying we are doing something. In what way? In what areas? Tell us. The specific move of the Department of Education or CHED to address this problem. This lack of data results in poor institutional support systems and uninformed educators. Teachers' training and awareness initiatives are necessary to provide the appropriate support. The objective of the study is to determine students' perception in relation to dyslexia, along with their levels of awareness and understanding of their conditions. Because in the how many years of studies, of my study about dyslexia, even the dyslexic themselves do not understand why they have such characteristic, crying in front of me saying, my parents told me that I am special. And they cannot explain how special I am. Just like the halo-halo, when you order from Chowking, can you explain how delicious halo-halo is? It's special. But how special are students who are having dyslexia? We don't treat them as they are. That's why many authors would say the mainstream classrooms are the slaughterhouses of dyslexic students. Even Shear, the singer, if you're familiar with Shear, even later on, it was discovered in the writings of Albert Einstein that he was dyslexic. The owner of the Virgin Airlines admitted that he was dyslexic. But who understand? We are the better people to understand, the educators. So the second objective is to provide views of student experiences with dyslexia in higher education contexts and to propose a policy brief for the implementation of dyslexia assessment tests, which I made to identify students struggling with dyslexia, giving them pastoral support. The design of the study is explanatory sequential. So I made two researcher-developed instruments validated by experts and pilot tests were conducted. So the first one is the dyslexia test. It's a 20-item instrument to obtain a Cronbach alpha of 0.81, and the other one is the dyslexia awareness test, a 22-item instrument which measures the respondent's understanding and knowledge of dyslexia, which obtained as 0.94 Cronbach alpha. And then a validated interview guide was also developed in gathering the qualitative data. So the participants of the study were 79 first-year students from our colleagues, the Southern Philippines Agribusiness, Marine and Aquatic School of Technology in Malita, Davao Occidental. So they belong to the different institute, the Institute of Human Service, Institute of Fisheries and Marine Sciences, Business Management, Teacher Education, Agriculture, and Development Studies. So in the qualitative aspect, I gathered the information from 15, where each group has 5 members. So there were 3 groups of 5. So let's go to the triangulation of results. Both data showed that while students generally reported manageable level of dyslexia, the dyslexia-related difficulties, certainly challenges were significant, especially when they fill out forms. Have you noticed your students, whenever during the enrollment, they fill out forms and they keep on asking what to put here, what to do? As a signal that they have having difficulty. Both data highlighted issues such as fear of public speaking. That's why many students, when you tell them to read in front, they say, I don't like. It's a fear of public speaking. Handwriting problems, especially the male. Have you noticed your students having all caps when they write? That's a sign of dyslexia. Or memory difficulty. Participants also express feeling of embarrassment and fear of judgment. That's why they are shy, or it's the opposite. They are overly showy. Sometimes when they ask to spell something and they commit a mistake, they will say, may bago na palang spelling ngayon. And everybody becomes, he or she becomes a clown of the class. Have you observed these characteristics? Because they are able to make shield of themselves. But they do not understand why they have such characteristics, often avoiding reading aloud and participating in class. So academic struggle includes the slow reading, repeated rereading and comprehension, and difficulties with spelling and writing. Whenever you have a spelling quiz, take note that they erase their spelling most of the time because they're suffering from phonological dyslexia. And whenever you tell them to read chapter 2, page 24, line 1, of course, they cannot locate that particular or very specific area that you wish them to go. Because dyslexic people are not good at specific, they're good at general. So awareness of dyslexia varied. Many understood it as a lifelong condition. Yes, it's true. It is inherited. And while others showed misconception or used humor to cope. Coping strategies were evidenced across responses, including daily practice reading and silent reading before speaking. That's how they do it. They read before they speak, and tutoring and studying in quiet spaces. Emotional resilience, perseverance, and self-motivation were also important. Socially, qualitative data revealed that deeper emotional challenges than numbers alone suggested, with students experiencing anxiety, self-conscious, and worse, withdrawal. The results implicates the need to inclusive and emotionally supportive educational practice for students with dyslexia. Educators may adopt universal design strategies such as the Rowan Davis dyslexia, such as multisensory tools, which is very could be adapted with STI if there are students here or suffering because most dyslexics are good at spatial. They are good engineers. They are good interior designers. They are good painters. They are good surgeons, but they are not good speakers and readers. Take note, intelligence is not affected by dyslexia. But it's just that we need to put them in their proper places. So if somebody having dyslexia, you definitely will say, okay, do not continue with this course. Shift to other course where you can what we call this make successful. So an interactive game-based language application is proposed as an effective intervention by integrating adjustable visual and auditory features, gamified rewards, and personal levels. The app can encourage daily practice, reduce anxiety, and boost motivation. So progress tracking in private learning spaces help minimize stigma, while the social emotional learning features such as confidence building, messages, and peer support strengthen emotional resilience. This solution addresses both academic and emotional needs, fostering literary confidence and lifelong learning. So the result of the study was made into a policy brief for my college. I already implemented this one in our BSDC freshman as promised. And out of the preliminary 26 students who took the test, 6 students were preliminarily diagnosed as having dyslexia. And then, as a result, we also propose for our extension an app to be developed by the ICT department. Dyslexia is a different brain organization that needs different teaching methods. It is never the fault of the student, but rather the responsibility of the teacher to find methods that work for the student. According to Dr. Marian Wolf, neuroscientist of the cognitive psychology. This paper was published in the Educación XX1 a Q1 index journal. These are my books which I previously published in 2016 because of my interest on this particular field. Good morning, and your questions will be answered later on. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you very much, Dr. San Jose, for that insightful and inspiring keynote. I would like to remind the audience that the open forum will be opened after the end of the third keynote address. You may post your questions in the chat box at this point. Once again, our heartfelt gratitude to Dr. Ariel E. San Jose. At this point, we will take a very quick 5-minute break before resuming with our keynote speaker. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We hope you had a refreshing break. Let us now proceed to our second keynote speaker. As a gentle reminder, please reserve your questions until the end of the third keynote. You may also post your questions in the chat box, and we will raise them during the open forum. Our second keynote speaker is a distinguished academic leader and researcher from Malaysia, with extensive expertise in service innovation, business innovation, and communication. Dr. Yo Sok Fern is an assistant professor at Multimedia University and currently serves as the director of the Center of Excellence for Business Innovation and Communication. Dr. Yo holds a Doctor of Philosophy in Service Innovation from University Science Malaysia, a Master of Business Administration in Multimedia Marketing, and a Bachelor of Business Administration with honors in Management from Multimedia University. Her academic career is marked by strong leadership, having served in various key management roles, including Deputy Dean for Research and Industrial Collaborations and Head of Research Center at the Faculty of Business Multimedia University. She is actively engaged in the international academic community as a visiting professor at Daffodil International University in Bangladesh, an International Academic Advisory Board member, and Academic Council member at Qingdao City University in China, as well as an external examiner and program academic advisor for several higher education institutions. She is also a certified HRDF trainer. Dr. Yo has led and collaborated on numerous national and international research grants, focusing on sustainable urban mobility, fintech adoption, mental health, green innovation, smart tourism, blockchain technology, and service innovation. Her work reflects a strong commitment to impactful, interdisciplinary, and cross-cultural research. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in giving a warm welcome to Dr. Yo Sok Fern.
A very good morning to everyone. Thank you to our MC for the humble introduction about myself. Before that, let me share my screen. I hope that you can hear me clearly. All right, first of all, I would like to thank the conference committee for giving me this opportunity to share my research topic or my research area or interest with all of you on this platform this morning. All right, so to kickstart, this is what I wish to share with all of you, from idea to impact, crafting research proposals that drive sustainable innovation. So before I go into the topic that I want to discuss with all of you today, I would like to just briefly show you where I'm from. So this is where I'm from, all right? Multimedia University is located in Malaysia, where we have two campuses. One is in Malacca, the historical city, all right? And another one is in Cyberjaya campus. So altogether, we are actually offering 10 different programs under 6 different faculties. So of course, I will welcome all of you to visit my university, or if you do happen to come to Malaysia, you can contact me, all right? So this is where I'm from, the Faculty of Business. I've been with MMU for 16 years now, and I've been in the teaching line, or I've already been in the academic line for 25 years as of 2026 January, all right? So this is a brief biography about myself, where I think the MC have already briefly introduced me just now. So as of now, just to let you know that as of January, I already published 155 index journals, 84 conference, all right, 13 book chapters, and I'm also editoring one of the book that published in 2022, and one more book is coming out somewhere mid of 2026. So let's move on to the topic which I would like to share with all of you. All right, the research journey. Of course, I think all of you will agree with me when I say that a research journey is not an easy journey. But if we work together collaboratively, I believe that each research journey will be very meaningful and impactful, not only to ourselves, but also to the community. So we have the idea with us, but sometimes we are not sure how we should initiate this idea to make it more impactful to the society. So this is just a brief process. All right, I will bring you through this process. Feel free to ask me questions at the end of the third keynote speaker. All right, so we always have the idea and we will end with the impact realized. So from this idea, we'll move on to the conceptualization of it. We come up with a proposal. We try to implement the research that we already have the idea, and we make it into a realization. So first of all, of course, when we talk about idea, means that there's a problem that we need to solve. But how do we identify the problem? There are many ways of identifying this problem. The first way is, of course, we encounter the problem by ourselves, or we witness the problem with our own eyes when we visit certain areas. All right. Another way to look at the problem is, of course, through your literature gap. All right. Many of us downloaded a lot of journals, but we are not sure how to identify this literature gap. So it's from the literature gap that we can actually initiate the idea to further expand on the research that has been done by others. Of course, the third way of identifying problem is to engage with industry players or industry partners to understand what are the problems faced by them. Because every problem, there will be a solution. It depends on how we look into the problem. All right. And of course, lastly, is through our communication. For example, a platform like this, all right, conference platform is a good platform for all the researchers to discuss on the problem that you foresee in the near future. So at this stage, idea is very important because we want to make sure that at the end of the day, our community, our society is able to benefit, which I will share with you later on some of my research that I've done for the farmers. Of course, after you have the idea, now you conceptualize that idea. How to conceptualize? You can create a preliminary study. Now, preliminary study here is whereby you randomly choose those people who are facing those problems. All right, you interview the society that is facing those problems. So how many should we interview? So it's up to us. All right, we can randomly choose between 10 to 20 or 15 to 30 for the preliminary interview. All right, so from the interview, we will know what is the problem faced by these interviewees. All right, second, of course, is through literature. All right, and always through literature is whereby we are only able to identify problems through the variables that have been studied before and through the results that have been done by the previous study. All right, so all these through the preliminary study, through the literature review, even through theoretical implications, all right, you can actually conceptualize that research. And don't forget, always consider to align your idea with the SDG. Because nowadays, all research should be able to link to SDG. Why? Because at the end of the day, when you publish your research work that link with SDG, it will bring impactful output onto your university ranking. Because in the QS ranking, all right, they look into the publication that link to SDG. All right, if you try to go into scopus.com, when you search in the scopus.com database, each of the paper, all right, in that database, they already link. All right, for example, your paper, they already link to SDG 3, SDG 6, and SDG 12. So try to link your research to SDG from now onwards. All right, because this is one of the agenda. Now, 3, of course, is on your proposal development. You already have the idea, you already conceptualize it. Now put it in a proper formal format. All right, write a proper proposal. show the introduction, of course, your title, all right? Try to make your title in a layman language where everybody understand what you're trying to do, all right? Then, of course, your research problem, you must clearly state out what are your research problem, what is the objective of you doing this research, all right? Your methodology, who will be your respondents, all right? So in your methodology, you need to mention the inclusion criteria and the exclusion criteria. Inclusion criteria means that those that is eligible to participate in your research. For example, if your research, you are focusing on the youth, so definitely you have a definition of the age group of participants that can participate in your research. All right. So you can have some other criteria. For example, if you're studying on youth, basically on the related to apps or social media, so perhaps one of your criteria is the person or the respondents must have experience buying online, for example, or buying through the apps. So this is called the inclusion criteria. Exclusion criteria means that those of these participants, all right, or potential participants, they are not the focus group that you want to study. So if let's say I'm already in the age of 49, I'm not considered youth, so I cannot participate in your research. So in your methodology, you have to clearly state down who are the inclusion criteria and who are in the exclusion criteria. And you also need to mention what is your minimum sample size. That means how many should you collect for your study. So for this minimum sample size, there are a few ways. You can go for rule of thumbs. All right, you can go for Crazy and Morgan, where Crazy and Morgan have the table based on the number of population. You can refer to Crazy and Morgan provided that you already know the total number of population. For example, you're going to study, all right, on the youth in Philippines. So you already know the total number of population of youth in Philippines from the data, you get the data from the Department of Statistics. Then you can refer to Crazy and Morgan table. Another way to identify your minimum sample size is through G power. Now, how many of you here have heard about G power? Perhaps you can have a, you can click on the emoji with the raise or hand or clap. How many of you have heard about G power? All right. So today's session, you can go and download this G power software. It is a freeware. G power software also can help you to identify your minimum sample size. All right. So in your methodology, you have to mention all this: inclusion criteria, exclusion criteria, all right, your minimum sample size, and where are you supposed to collect your data from? All right, the location, all right, the location of the data collection, and also, of course, your questionnaire, either a quantitative questionnaire or it can be an interview question. All should be mentioned very clearly in the methodology. All right, and in all research, we should have the timeline. Are you going to put a timeline of 6 months to complete the study, or 1 year, or 1.5 years, or even 2 years? So the timeline is very important because you are looking at the problem now, and of course, you want to help the society to solve the problem as soon as possible. So do not delay your research. Right? If you delay your research become obsolete. There will be not useful anymore to the society. So this proposal development, all right, it depends on where you want to get the funding from. All right. If you're not going to get a funding from any of the institution or organization, all right, then you can do it in a short-term research. But if you're going to apply for, funding from organization, institution, or your own your university, then of course you have to prepare the budget, all right, in a proper format. How much are you going to spend? You have to spell it very clearly, very detailed. Okay, and what will be your expected outcome at the end of your research? So this is a proposal development stage. Then, of course, if you successfully secure the grant or you are not taking any grant, you can start implementing your research. You can start going out to collect your data. All right. Of course, if you feel that some of the area you cannot go personally to collect your data, you can use Google Form or Microsoft Teams, Microsoft Form. All right. That is the most convenient. But let me share with you, the best experience is always go and meet the respondents. All right, last month I was collecting data. It is part of the Malaysia Consumer Association. They wanted us to visit every housing area. Now, why I say it's a good experience? Because you can see the expression of the respondents when they respond to each of the question, even though it's a questionnaire. All right. And you will value each of the process when you personally visit the respondents to get the output. All right. Because when you collect data via Google Form, you won't know who are the one answering the questions. When you personally go and visit those potential respondents, you will gain a lot of experience. All right. You will value that journey. All right. Just for all of you, your information, during my PhD time, I'm doing a study on pregnant mother. I visited the hospital, and my inclusion criteria are mothers who just gave birth 3 days to 1 month. All right, because we are not allowed to disturb them during the first 3 days. So during the session where I collected the data in the hospital, I visited the patient in the ward, all right, hospital ward, assisted by the staff nurse, the head staff nurse. All right, I feel that is a very good experience because you can see how this mother explained to you their process, how satisfied are them towards the hospital experience. All right, so try to collect data personally to have the feel so that you know how these people go through the journey for each of the different contexts of study. All right, so this is the research implementation part. And of course, lastly, your research must be impactful, not only academic, not talking about publication alone, but it should be beneficial to our society, for the country development, that means the economy, all right, for the policy maker, as well as for some other beneficial parties, all right, or partners. All right, so always think about the impact from the start, all right, then build it into your design, execute it, and disseminate your plan accordingly. Now, let's talk about sustainability. And this word is not new actually, but why should we focus on sustainable innovation? Now, these are the 4 reasons. First of all, is because we want to support the global and national agenda. Now, every country, they have their own policy. They have their own agenda. For example, like in Malaysia, we have Malaysia Plan 13. All right. So I believe that in Philippines also, you have your Philippines plan for 2030 as well. All right. Number 2, why we focus on sustainable innovation? Because we want to link our research to SDG and the country's development plan. Number 3 is for societal and environmental challenges. And lastly is funder prioritize. Because some of the funder, they want you to do research on sustainable innovation. All right, we're talking about saving the earth and so on. So some of the funder, they would like to see that. So I just give you one example. A lot of research that we can link to all the 17 SDG. But one of the top topic that we are looking at now is SDG 2, zero hunger. We want to achieve zero hunger. Many countries are still facing this issue. All right, so we know that SDG 2 is about ending hunger, all right, achieving food security. We want to improve the nutrition of our society members, all right. We want to promote sustainable agriculture by 2030. So this is where my research come in, all right. I have a research later on, I'm going to show you in some other slides. So how we can link to SDG? Now, all of you are familiar with this 17 SDG, am I right? Okay. Now, first of all, you need to identify the connection to your country's development plan. I believe that you have the access to the Philippines development plan. Like all of us in Malaysia, we have the access to Malaysia Plan 13. We call it Rancangan Malaysia ke-13 in Malay, all right? So try to look at the plan and see how you can pick up some of this development plan and make it into an impactful research for your community. So this is one example. Always remember, when we are doing a research, we don't only focus on one alignment to one SDG. In one research, we can link into a few SDG. And in one topic, we also can link into multidisciplinary research. So for this example, like food security, when we talk about achieving zero hunger, we can link to no poverty, we can link to good health and well-being, we can link to climate action, and we can link to responsible consumption. So in one of your research, you can already link to 5 different SDG. All right. So here, when we talk about innovation in food security, we can look into different type of context because food security can come from different angle. Number one, we can do a research on agriculture because through agriculture, it can contribute to food security. We can also look into the climate. Change of climate can have an impact on food security. We can look at culture as well. So these are some of the examples I'm sharing with you. Feel free to pick up this point and make it into your research, all right? Because for me, I always believe that sharing is growing, all right? You know the terms, right? Sharing is caring. But for me, I always believe in sharing is growing because when you share, others will give you some input and you grow from that idea. All right, that is my philosophy of sharing is growing. Now, put your innovation into action. Now, this is some of the example. We know that in agriculture, all right, AI have been used widely in some of the country. But let me share with you, in Malaysia, we have yet to come to that level. All right. When we interview the farmers, paddy farmers, they do use drone, but when they use the drone, it's for pesticide. They spray the pesticide. And most of these farmers, they don't have the ability to own the drone. So they actually outsource it to the third party. All right. And for your information, when I collected the data from the paddy farmers in Malaysia, the oldest farmer is aged 108 years old. All right. And the youngest farmer is at the age of 18. So you can see the age gap. All right. You can see the age gap. So they do not have the, I will say that they do not have enough cash flow to invest or own their own AI tools. All right. Then, of course, the next one is vertical farming. All right. This is also another way where we can innovate in the agriculture industry. Of course, biotechnology, all right, where we can genetically modify the crops, all right, with the tools, all right, to come up with something else. Okay, I will share with you a list of research. Feel free to pick up and make it your research, all right? So I just put a few of these points for you. Like for example, discipline, if let's say all the participants, let's say you are from the nutrition and public health. So these are some of the areas that you can look at: dietary malnutrition or food fortification strategies. So for those of our friends from blockchain and ICT, you can look into the transparent supply chain of the manufacturer, all right, or healthcare industry or pharmaceutical industry. You can also look at smart contracts, all right? Or those of you who are from the business, you can look into agribusiness model. You can come up with a new model. So feel free to pick up this point and make it your research so that I hope that one day I can read your research paper in this area that I share with you. Feel free to take a snapshot, yeah? So for me, I always believe that nothing is impossible, all right, to a willing heart. If you have a willing heart to do it, go for it, all right? We always started something. For example, those who have just registered for PhD. Whenever you feel that you are very stressed, you feel that you want to give up, always ask yourself why you have started this journey, right? All of us started with nothing, all right? Let me share with you. When I started my academic career, I started as a very academic related, meaning to say that I'm only teaching. I'm not into research. Until I registered my PhD, I would say that I met a very supportive supervisor that involved me in her grant. That's where I have transformed from a very academic teaching track staff into now I'm a research track staff. And currently, I'm actually the director for Center of Excellence for Research for Business Innovation and Communication. So always tell yourself that everything is possible, okay? Nothing is impossible in this world. Now, this is the research I'm sharing with you that we get the funding from the Ministry of Higher Education. All right, I did a study with my project members. We actually collected data from 400 over farmers to understand their problems. All right, so that at the end of this research, we are able to pass or suggest some of the policy or some of the changes to the government agency for the benefits of the farmers. All right, farmers are facing a lot of problem, especially when there's a climate change, a sudden climate change, on days where the northern part of Malaysia, all right, towards the end of the year is always we are facing a problem like flooding. So they face a lot of this loss during the flooding season. All right. So we actually interview Bernas. Bernas in Malaysia is a company that produce rice. All right. They produce rice. What they do is they collected the paddy, all right, from certain farmers in the state of Kedah, and they produce the rice. So when they produce the rice, they will segregate the rice into different grade. Okay. And we also interview MADA in Kedah. MADA is actually an agency, all right, that help to distribute the paddy seeds to the farmers according to the schedule. So we actually conducted interviews. So this interviews is actually our preliminary study. Remember, just now I talked about research idea. We can start with preliminary study or preliminary interview. This is where we started it. We want to know the procedures first. Then only we created the questionnaire and collected 400 plus respondents from the farmers to have a more in-depth understanding what the farmers go through every day, what are the challenges they face every day. So these are some of the things, all right, we have collected and we publish it in Technology in Society. It's one of the high-tier journals. All right, we also I also publish in Journal of Production Economics, where we talk about the food. So this paper is linked to SDG 2, SDG 3. Okay. I also tried a different method of analysis. Instead of SPSS, Smart PLS, I actually tried fuzzy DeMartel approach, where a lot of formulas involved. So this study, I'm looking at organic food, all right? And I also look at smart hospitality, where this study is talking about the service innovation in a hotel. This work, I work with my undergraduate students. Okay, so no research without action, no action without research. You agree with me? All right, bring this back with you today. All right, remember, no action without research. We need to put in the actions for the benefit of our society. So with that, thank you very much. I leave this quotation with you. May your curiosity be endless, your effort relentless, and your discoveries transformative. Together, let's turn today's question into tomorrow's breakthroughs. Feel free to contact me. This is my Google Scholarly. The other one, the one on top, directory of expertise, is my MMU staff directory, and this one is my email address. Feel free to contact me. I'm open for collaboration. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Yosok Fern, for that very insightful and inspiring presentation. Indeed, we conduct research not just for the sake of completing it, but to also have a sustainable impact to the community. We now move on to our last keynote speaker. Our speaker is an accomplished advocate for open science, including open access publishing in the Global South, with a particular focus on Africa and South Africa. She holds a master's degree in computer integrated education from the University of Pretoria, a higher education teaching diploma, and an honors degree in library and information science. With over 20 years of experience in open access, she has worked at the University of Pretoria and Stellenbosch University, specializing in websites, instructional design, repositories, journal publishing, and conference publishing. The implementation of UP Space and subsequently Sun Scholar and Sun Journals helped pave the way for other higher education institutions to follow suit. Since 2014, she has served as a planning manager at the Academy of Science of South Africa, where she is involved in a range of impactful projects. Her contributions extend internationally, highlighted by her role as a DOAJ ambassador for the Southern Africa region and her recent leadership in reviewing the DOAJ Ambassador Program 2024. Additionally, she spearheaded the African Open Science Landscape Study from 2016 to 2019 and the International Year of Basic Sciences for Sustainable Development in South Africa from 2022 to 2023. The African Scientist Directory, developed by her in 2020, is widely acknowledged as a valuable asset to the African science community. She also led the development of the ASSAF Open Science Policy and the ASSAF Science Engagement Strategy during 2023 to 2024, which are currently being implemented. She was an initiator and supporter of the inclusion of the DOAJ as an accredited list in the SA-DAT Research Outputs Policy. Furthermore, she coordinated the Berlin 10 conference in 2012, hosted by Stellenbosch University, and played a major role in International Data Week 2019, hosted by Botswana. Together, with the impactful work done by others, her passion for open science has contributed to significant progress on the continent, fostering greater accessibility and collaboration in research. Her outstanding contributions have been recognized with several prestigious awards, including the LIASA President's Acknowledgements for Exceptional Contribution in 2014, the runner-up position in the International EPT Award for Open Access in 2011, and the LAISA Librarian of the Year Award in 2016. She is versatile in the innovative application of IT and embraces new technologies such as AI to enhance productivity in day-to-day work. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our last keynote speaker, Miss Ina Smith.
Good day, everyone. My name is Ina Smith. I'm the Community Manager and Senior Ambassador for the Directory of Open Access Journals in Africa. I focus on journals from South Africa, but I have a wonderful team working with me in Africa, Middle East, and in Turkey. Today, I would like to share with you more about the Directory of Open Access Journals, and I will do so by way of presentation, which I will open now. The title of my presentation is Infrastructuring Inclusivity, Open Access, Epistemic Justice, and the Role of the Global South, and of course, with a focus on the Directory of Open Access Journals. First of all, it's important to have a mutual understanding of what open access is about. For the Directory of Open Access Journals, open access refers to journals where the copyright holder of a scholarly work, such as an article, grants usage rights to others using an open license. An example of open licenses is, for example, the set of Creative Commons licenses. There are 6 such licenses, and the purpose of those licenses are to indicate to users of online content published in the scholarly journal on how they are allowed to use the articles that were published. Of course, all work, no matter whether it's open or closed access, should always be cited. Open access allows for immediate free access to the work and permits any user to read, download, copy, distribute, print, search, or link to the full text of articles, crawl them for indexing, parse them as data to software, or use them for any other lawful purpose. There are different forms of open access. Initially, when the open access movement started, what institutions or research institutions did was to archive copies of published articles in institutional repositories. It was referred to as green open access, and it's still being done today because an institutional repository is an important archive of all research output by a research institution. Then there is gold open access. With gold open access, the manuscript is open and free to read for the reader without any passwords, but authors pay an article processing charge fee to have their manuscript published in a journal. Often journals charge these APCs, article processing charges, to cover their costs. Then the third form of open access nowadays is diamond open access. And diamond open access is now becoming the trend, where the journal is itself, it's funded by the owner. It can be a research institution, it can be government, it can be a society or a professional body that publishes this journal and fund all activities to get manuscripts published through membership fees or advertisements or other ways of funding. In this case, there's no fees for the reader and also no fees to be paid by the authors of these articles. So there's increasingly a push towards diamond open access publishing. The fourth option, which hasn't really taken off, is the hybrid option, where manuscripts are published in a hybrid journal, and then authors can pay an extra fee to have their paper published as open access. But that does not qualify as open access for the Directory of Open Access Journals. So why is open access so important, especially for the global north? Access to knowledge is still a privilege for many people all over the world and not a right. Scholars in the global south often face paywalls, language barriers, and systemic underrepresentation in academic databases. But open access aims to change that by removing the barriers, not only to reading, but also to publishing, sharing, and being cited. Here's what epistemic injustice looks like in numbers. In 2022, about 86% of science and engineering publications indexed in Scopus came from high income and upper middle income economies from the global north. Sub-Saharan Africa, home to roughly 13.5% of the global population, contributes less than 1% of global research output, according to these findings. Even in leading discipline-focused journals published in North America and Europe in the gender and politics field, less than 3% of full-length articles between 2008 and 2017 were authored by scholars based in the global north. These patterns expose a structural invisibility, a form of epistemic injustice in our global knowledge ecosystem, which we cannot afford. So what is the role of the global South in terms of open access, open infrastructure, and towards an epistemic just scholarly communication environment. Much of the world's scholarly system, not only the research articles, but also the indexes, metrics, rankings, and funding systems, has historically been built around the global north. For example, the journal impact factor. This has often led global south journals and scholars less visible because our journals are not included in Clarivate analytics or in Scopus. Our lack of visibility is not because of our work lacking quality, but because the system from the global north doesn't fit our languages, our context, and our research priorities. The result is bigger than representation. It shapes whose knowledge is valued. Because of these systems from the global north, it was clear in the past that the knowledge from the global north was mostly valued. But local and community-based research, multilingual scholarships, and studies focused on regional needs from the global south were frequently overlooked by dominant databases and metrics, and still are. But things are also starting to change, and this is helped and supported by open access infrastructures such as the Directory of Open Access Journals and CHELO. But progress isn't automatic. It requires sustained investment in editorial capacity. We need to train editors. Inclusive indexing is important. We need policies that govern our journals and robust technology to manage our journals in the online environment. Journals from regions from the global south, such as Africa, Southeast Asia, Latin America, and the Middle East, deserve to be visible and respected because of the important knowledge they produce. Only then can we build a truly inclusive and equitable global research ecosystem. This brings us to epistemic justice. What is epistemic justice? It's the idea that everyone should be able to help create knowledge, and that different ways of knowing should be taken seriously. It should not only be about doing it the way the global north is doing it. For a long time, global research systems have treated Western English language university-based research as the standard, and this has often sidelined Indigenous knowledge, oral traditions, and non-English scholarship. Not because they lack value, but because the system wasn't built for them. So it's not enough to give people access to research. We also need to ask whose knowledge gets published, whose voices set the research agenda, and which methods and worldviews are recognized and which are ignored. And I think you know the answer to this. Achieving epistemic justice means creating inclusive systems that recognize and accommodate multiple ways of knowing, from environmental wisdom held by Indigenous communities to social insights gathered through lived experience to research conducted in local languages for local impact. It also means ensuring that researchers from all geographies have equitable opportunities to publish, disseminate, and be cited, not just in their own regions, but on global platforms. When we fail to address these inequities, we don't just exclude people or discriminate against them. We limit the scope of human understanding. But when we open up our systems to diverse voices and perspectives, we enrich the entire scholarly community and move closer to a truly global, just, and collaborative knowledge system. By championing these values that I've just shared with you, the Directory of Open Access Journals helps shift the scholarly publishing landscape from one dominated by a few commercial giants to one that is more equitable, distributed, and representative of the world's diverse knowledge producers. We need to understand what open infrastructure means in the context of scholarly communication. So, open infrastructures are scholarly communication resources and services provided by non-commercial organizations that enable the scientific and academic community to collect, store, organize, access, share, and assess research. Open infrastructures aim to provide trustworthy assurances of openness, community, accountability, stability, transparency, and reliability. It allows systems and tools to talk to one another. It allows us to integrate these tools, such as OrgID, Crossref, and OJS, to name a few, into a seamless scholarly ecosystem. But we must ensure these systems are not only technically open, but socially inclusive, built with equity at their core. In this example, I want to share with you a local South African journal. It's published in English, since English is one of our 11 national languages. But yeah, you can see how open infrastructure plays a role and how these infrastructures have been implemented to publish this journal. First of all, this journal is published and managed using the PKP Open Journal Systems, open source software. It has implemented ROR IDs or Research Organization IDs. Each research institution in the world is assigned a unique ID through the ROR Open Infrastructure Organization. Org IDs, on the other hand, are for authors, a unique ID for each individual author. And on article level, a unique DOI is assigned. Then, Creative Commons licenses have been implemented, or one Creative Commons license, namely the CC BY 4.0 license, which is the most open and flexible license. At minimum, authors or people conducting research and citing this manuscript must acknowledge that it's been published in this journal, and then also open citations as part of the references deposited with the Crossref Open Infrastructure System. I've mentioned a few examples of open infrastructure now, but there's many more that can talk to one another and communicate. I've mentioned OrgID, Jasper, once included on the Directory of Journals. Journals can make use of this Jasper preservation system. There's the ROR ID, the Directory of Open Access Journals, Creative Commons, International Standard Serial Number, since each and every journal that's online must have a unique IE or online ISSN, Crossref for digital object identifiers, and then also OpenAlex. OpenAlex is really worthwhile to go and have a look at. And in terms of metrics, OpenAlex gives open access journals a valuable bibliometric data. Also, in terms of citations, collaboration between authors, and more. There's also an Invest in Open Infrastructure Finder or an Infra Finder where you can search for different open infrastructures. This is the landing page of a directory of open access journals, or DOAJ, or DOHAJ, as it is called by many. It can be accessed at https://doaj.org. It has a very simple interface and can be searched according to journal title or according to article metadata, maybe subjects. Once a journal is ready to apply and adheres to all the criteria, then it can register a profile with the DOAJ, log in and complete an online form, which can be submitted. A bit more about the Directory of Open Access. It's not just a list of open access journals across the globe. It's a unique and extensive index of diverse peer-reviewed open access journals. It's one of the most significant infrastructures in scholarly communication. Its mission is to raise trust, the profile, visibility, and impact of all quality peer-reviewed open access journals globally, regardless of discipline, geography, or language. It also plays a quality assurance role. We don't just include any open access journals. It goes through a very strict review process on different levels. Our criteria to which a journal must adhere are an unofficial gold standard for open access journal publishing, trusted across the scholarly community and also by governments on national level. And South Africa government acknowledges the Directory of Open Access Journals as an accredited list. If a researcher publishes in a journal listed in the DOAJ, that researcher or its research institution receives funding from the Department of Higher Education and Training. Then the DOAJ services and metadata are provided completely free of charge to all. It's open for anybody to use in any way. DOAJ is committed to inclusivity and equity, and our primary aim is to increase the inclusion of journals from the Global South. And to achieve that, ambassadors such as myself from the Global South play an important role in creating awareness around DOAJ and quality in scholarly journal publishing. Up to date, this directory contains more than 21,000 journals, almost 22,000. Those journals are from 140 countries and represent 91 different languages, and which is different from global North systems focusing on English scholarly journals only. I did a search for the Philippines and established that currently there are 7 journals from the Philippines indexed in the Directory of Open Access Journals. And of course, we would like many more from editors and societies, from publishers in the Philippines, and we would like to work with you on preparing journals for possible inclusion in the Directory of Open Access Journals. So to summarize, the DOAJ, as I've said, is an important open scholarly infrastructure. It cannot be bought or sold, never. It is committed to openness, diversity, and accountability. It has adopted the principles of open scholarly infrastructure and also renewed the adoption thereof recently. It collaborates with other open infrastructure to drive change towards an open and transparent culture. Some criteria that journals indexed in the DOAJ need to adhere to be included. It should be scholarly journals focusing on research and aimed at researchers and practitioners. And the journal should at least publish 5 research articles per year. New journals must have at least a 1-year publishing history or have published at least 10 open access research articles before applying. The journal must be fully open access. It can't be hybrid. And it must provide immediate free access to full text with no embargo. And there should be no registration required to read. It must clearly display an open access statement aligned with the DOAJ's open access definition, and it must use one of the 6 Creative Commons licenses or an equivalent that grants reuse rights. The identity of the journal should be clear, and there should be no misleading title. The title should be professional, and the website should be professional and secure. For example, it can start with HTTPS instead of HTTP. It should have this or display transparent editorial governance and have policies that govern the journal. The peer review or quality control process must be clearly stated. An article must go preferably through a double-blind peer review process. The licensing and copyright policies must be stated for those individual articles published in the journal, and the ethical publishing practice and transparency should be aligned with recognized best practice principles, such as the principles of transparency and best practice in scholarly publishing, which you can Google. To help your journal to achieve this kind of criteria and to support you towards applying for possible inclusion, the ambassador team would like to assist. And I just want to point out that Vrushali Dandawati is the ambassador for Asia. Should you require further training or further support, but of course you can contact any of us and we will gladly assist. From the global south, I want you to take this message with you. We need our own research, and that research must be made visible and accessible towards other researchers. No country is an island. We need one another, and we've seen it in the past with COVID. We are seeing it with climate change. When something goes wrong in one part of the world, it impacts on the rest. So we are experts in certain fields. In Philippines, you might be experts in climate change. We need to bring the experts in specific key fields together, get them to publish their research, and we should share our research, share our data as part of the open science movement, of which open access is also part, so that everybody can benefit. Open access and open science are about collaboration, not about competition. Research for the public good, and also conducting research, sharing our local research to come up with solutions for local problems. On this note, I want to thank you for your attention, and I hope you have a wonderful conference, and I want to wish you well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Ina Smith, for your enriching presentation. The open forum is now open. You may raise your hand or post your questions in the chat box. So we encourage our participants, both on-site and online, to actively engage in our open forum, raise your questions while our keynote speakers are here. Thank you very much. Once again, to our participants, both online and on-site, if you have your questions, don't hesitate to raise your hand or post your questions in the chat box.
Hello, good day to everyone. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, sir, loud and clear.
Okay. So my question is this. First, thank you to our keynote speakers, to Dr. San Jose and Dr. Yu. Also to Ms. Smith for your insightful topics in research process and other matters. So what I would like to ask is that about research malpractices such as the data fabrication, the authorship disputes, and conflicts of interest, which continue to pose significant challenges in both local and global research environments. So, from your experiences, what strategies can researchers, institution, and publishing bodies should adopt to combat these issues and ensure the integrity and credibility of the academic work across different contexts? By the way, I'm from the Department of Education. Thank you so much. I would like to address this to Dr. Yu. Hello, Dr. Yu.
Hi, thank you for the questions. We were asking about the conflict and also the ethics part of it, right? So bear in mind to all the participants, actually, for all research, before we conduct any research or collect any data, all right, from the respondents, in our university, we have to apply for ethical clearance. All right. So whenever we go out and collect data, we have to bring along the informant, consent form. That means they have to fill up this consent form before they participate. So to ensure that all data when we publish, all right, we are clear cut that we already got the approval. But then we cannot share the data. All right. Now all of you realize that when you submit a paper to any journal platform, all right, they will ask you whether you have ethical clearance. If you click yes, the next question they ask you, are we willing to share the data? So normally we won't share the data of our respondents. So you have to click no. So in our university, we practice ethical clearance before we go and collect data. So I believe that all universities should set up their ethical committee team. So this team, they will go through the proposal. They will go through all the questions, all right, before they issue the ethical letter, because we need to use this letter and show the potential respondents that we already got the approval. Second thing, if you're going to publish in a journal where you yourself sitting in that journal as an editorial board member, all right, and you want to submit the paper to that journal where you are part of them, it's a no-no, because this is considered as a conflict of interest. All right. So for example, if I'm a editorial board member for International Journal of Business and Economics, I cannot send in paper to this journal, even as a co-author. All right, this is considered as a conflict of interest. So we need to make sure that all research conducted must be on the ethical manner, so that there's no retraction of the journal paper at the end of the day. Because any retraction of the paper from any of the journal will have an impact on your profile later on when you want to be an editorial board member of a Scopus or WOS journal. All right, I hope I answer the questions, because I think ethical clearance is very important. So perhaps any university, if let's say you have yet to have this committee, it's good to set up it now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Yu. So there should be a must, no, for institution, even in the Department of Education, to have this ethics committee. No, that's why I'm always promoting these ethical considerations when in the conduct of research, especially in the Department of Education here in the Philippines, because these are the things that they forget to ensure, especially in research and publication.
Yeah,
Thank you so
true.
much, Dr. Yu, once again.
Welcome.
Thank you very much, Sir Manira and Dr. Yo. I think we have a follow-up question from Dr. LJ Barican. Stated, how do you know if these journals are predatory or not? I think this question is intended for Dr. Yo.
Okay, there is a website, all right, where you can actually check whether it's predatory or not. You also can check from scopus.com, all right. If let's say all of you, you have your laptop with you, you can actually type there scopus.com, and you can type in the name of the journal to see whether this journal is already discontinued to be indexed by Scopus or not. All right. So my advice to you is always go and check on the scopus.com, all right, or the WOS website to see whether these journals are indexed or not. So try to publish in index journal, all right. For all young researchers, all right, I started with Q4. You know that Scopus journal, they have Q1, quarter 2, 3, and 4, right? I always tell my student as well, start as Q4. Don't be shy. As long as you have your first journal to be indexed, Q4 is fine. Slowly, when you already know the style, all right, on writing the paper to go into Q3, you move into Q3, and slowly you will reach Q1. All right. So with that, so don't waste your money for open access where it is not indexed yet. All right, because for PhD students, you need to graduate with an indexed journal. Am I right? From all the institutions. So try to go to Q4. So there's one website where you can check those predatory journal as well. But because for me, I always check through scopus.com or even WOS. And when you check on the scopus.com, you key in the name of the journal. Normally they have one bracket, they'll put there discontinued. Means you don't submit to that journal anymore because it's no longer indexed. All right. But if any journal that you found from scopus.com, they do not have the bracket discontinued, means it's still active and indexed by Scopus. That is how I track those journals, and I actually educate my students to use that way as well. I hope I answer your questions.
Thank you very much, Dr. Barikan and Dr. Yo. We have a question from one of our online participants, Ma'am Mary Joni of Villanueva. You are acknowledged.
Good morning. My question is directed to Dr. San Jose. He discussed about his research on dyslexia a while ago. And he mentioned that dyslexia is never the fault of the student, but it is the responsibility of the teacher. I'm wondering, if you are a teacher of a class of 40 or more students, and you are not in the position to diagnose if you have students who have dyslexia, how can we help them? And if you are teaching in college, and your subject is not much, it's not language, like me, I'm teaching chemistry. How can I be able to help students with dyslexia?
Good morning and thank you.
Good morning, Dr. San Jose.
Yeah, sorry. Thank you very much for the question. Let me answer first your question whether I'm teaching in college. Yes, all my life I've been teaching in college. And dyslexia is manifested in any subject. Actually, dyslexic is also struggling with mathematics, but they are
Okay.
not called dyslexia, but that is called dysgraphia. Okay, and the focus of dyslexia is in reading, although there are manifestations which are really not a manifestation wherein it does not it implies dyslexia. For example, directional dyslexia is one. For example, a student cannot identify if you are facing with the student when you ask the student where is the right and where is the left. So, for example, in riding a taxi or whatever, so they would just say you have to turn this way and turn this way. They cannot tell you whether where is the right and where is the left. And there is also what we call semantic dyslexia. If you call a student
Okay.
to give you a white paper, that student having difficulty in his mind, what is white? He will think of black. It's the opposite of it. So don't be amazed when you ask the student to give you a blue, so he will be thinking of the opposite and might as well give you that color. So that's what we call semantic dyslexia, the meaning of it. So it's important that first you have to orient the student of the colors. So for example, in chemistry, for example, okay,
Yes, Doc.
so you have to demonstrate first for example, colors of the chemicals, right? There are blue colors, whatever colors. You have to demonstrate first before you give instructions. Now, before you make instructions into specific, make sure that the instructions are in general first, because they have to set their mind from the general to specific. Okay? Because they are not specific thinkers, they are general thinkers. They think outside of the box. They don't think inside of the box. Diba?
Okay.
And then the thing that I discovered from them, mom, is that a normal person, we can encourage a normal person. You have to do, you have to push yourself. Okay? But they don't like that kind of motivation. Even I asked a neurologist, sabi ko, can we push dyslexia to move further? I mean, to encourage. But for them, they don't like to be pushed. They would tell themselves, you have to accept my ability. You have to know my ability. You have to know my limitation as dyslexic. Why push me? I'm not a normal person, but they cannot tell you that, I'm dyslexic because they themselves are confused why they experience such characteristic. So now I understand that true to the saying that coins has always two sides. Okay? Somehow normal people, you can motivate, but dyslexics, you cannot. Okay? We need to understand them. That's why we give chance. We don't immediately judge a person that he is dumb or he is lazy. Okay? We need to understand the person. I have experienced so many dyslexic students. One is an architecture student. She was married, and she has three children. And I told her, how do you cope? And she said, sir, whenever there are assignments to read, I need to read it at, at home, because whenever I commit mistakes, my students will laugh at me. Okay, so there is another social work student that I had. She is now a registered social work, but she took the social work twice examination, and he became a clown of the class. That's one way of strategy on probably not denying, but coping, transcending from the realities that he had. So now that I know what dyslexia is, all students will come to me. I treat them differently. Okay? We are, as what I have said, we are like doctors. Our students are our patients. Whenever they come to us, whatever level of intelligence or cognition they have, we should treat them the way we treat our children, because we are the second parents. I know that not all of students will become engineers. Not all of them will become nurses or doctors. But at least as teachers, we treat them the way we treat our children. That's my advocacy. Now, in my college, I am developing a pastoral support. Okay? Pastoral support. We call it, I discovered the term in Oman. We were together with Dr. Rod in Oman, and we call it pastoral support. We make pastoral, just like Jesus. When one sheep was lost, he wants to find it. Where is that one sheep?
Shepherd.
Yeah, yeah.
Shepherd. You're a
Yeah, the
shepherd.
shepherd. Yeah. The Jesus, we are shepherds of our
We are
students.
shepherds, not okay. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Okay, I think
Thank
I've
you,
answered.
Dr. San Jose.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that enlightenment, Dr. San Jose. Thank you very much.
Once again, thank you very much, Dr. San Jose and Ma'am Villanueva. So
Yes,
we have
you're
another
welcome.
questions. Ma'am Rina P. Alayon, you're acknowledged.
Yes, good morning, everyone. I will some questions for this for clarification only. Can qualitative and descriptive research studies can be published in international journals if the respondents are not recognized expert in the field? Thank you.
I think the
Thank you for the
question is
questions.
intended. Okay. Go
Thank you
ahead,
for the
Dr. Ro.
questions. This is about qualitative studies. Yes, qualitative study also you can actually publish in the international index journal, but then make sure that your respondents who are participating in your interview, all right, interview questions must be in the same industry of your context of study. For example, you are talking about studying on smart hospitality, and you would like to know the insights from the managers or the owner of the hotels. So you definitely need to interview those who are in the hospitality and tourism industry. Like for example, my research, as I shared just now, I'm studying on pregnant mother who newly gave birth. All right. So they must be in this context. So I actually interviewed 7 mothers, and I want to know the reason why they switched from public hospital to private hospitals. So I definitely need to interview the person who are in the context of study. All right. So whether it's quantitative or qualitative, you are able to publish in international index journal. Don't worry. Just that you make sure that your respondents are aligned with your context of study. I hope I answer your questions.
So much po, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Ma'am Alayan and Dr. Yol. We have one last question from our online participants from Dr. Helmer Montero. Let me read the message. I am not certain if sustainable development goal is seriously discussed in academic institutions or if it's just a facade. My question is, what is that one guideline that researchers must look into in order to craft research proposals that drive sustainable innovation?
Okay, it's me again. All right. Based on the question in the chat box, all right. I'm not sure. Okay, now actually, for my institution, we are already into practicing sustainability development, sustainable development goal. So all our researchers are encouraged, all right, to do research and prepare the proposal, all right, aligned to any of the SDG. So when we actually write the paper for journal article, we also mention, we need to mention that, as I mentioned just now, if you have a chance to explore scopus.com, when you look at every paper that's published, they actually already start linking our published article to each of the SDG. So I believe that all institutions should start encouraging and perhaps pass this knowledge to your staff, all right, regarding the importance of linking your research to SDG. So in your next question, you're talking about what is that one guideline researcher must look into in order to craft research proposal that drive sustainable innovation? Okay, one important point when you talk about preparing a proposal that is linked to sustainable innovation, as I mentioned just now, your idea, all right, your research idea. In order to make your research idea into a realization for our community, the most important part of your research proposal will be your research problem or the research gap. All right. So how to make your research problem and your research gap stand out in your research proposal that drive sustainable innovation? I suggest to you is to do a preliminary study. All right, preliminary study will be very strong. Why? Because preliminary study is whereby you interview a small group of people between maybe 7 to 15. Like for my style, I go for 7 to 10. All right, choose those respondents who are really into that context of study. All right, interview them, construct your question very carefully in such a way that you are able to trigger from them to share what are the problems faced by them. All right, because why I say preliminary study is very important to uphold or make your research problem even stronger or your research gap even stronger, because you listen from them personally, as compared to, of course, you can get data from Department of Statistics to show that the statistic is dropping, all right, the number of user is dropping, all right, or the economy is not doing well. That is all data-based research problem. But to make your problem more solid in a research proposal, it's good that you can conduct a preliminary study because that will be more strong, all right? You're making your research gap and problem stronger in the research proposal. All right, when we call it, I do conduct a workshop on winning research proposal as well. And the most important part is your research problem. Because we want to see what is the problem faced by the people or our community. They want to see how much we can help our community. Not so much about the budget. All right, many has mentioned that budget is important, it's a research proposal. Yes, provided that you have to be aligned with the funders' requirement, like 10,000, you must put your budget within 10,000. But the most important in your research proposal for sustainable innovation is your research problem or the research gap. So Dr. Montego, I hope I answer your question.
Thank you very much, Dr. Montejo and Dr. Yo. Once again, thank you to everyone for your active participation. Our sincere appreciation to all our speakers for sharing their expertise with us today. Let us give our keynote speakers another warm round of virtual applause. At this point, we are virtually awarding the certificate of recognition to our 3 keynote speakers. We have on site Dr. Ariel E. San Jose. And joining us online are Dr. Yosok Fern and Ms. Ina Smith.
Thank you so much for having me.
The success of IRE's projects and events would not be possible without the support of our partners and collaborators. This conference is proudly held in collaboration with STI West Negros University. Let us get to know STI through this short video. Thank you very much. Should your institution wish to partner or collaborate with IRE, please visit our website for more information. Now, before we proceed to the plenary sessions, allow me to briefly go over our conference guidelines and decorum. Flashed on screens are our quick reminders. Record and upload a presentation, the punctuality, presentation order, the presentation timing, and the etiquette. Our plenary session features 2 paper presentations from Gulf College, Sultanate of Oman, and 1 paper presentation from the United States of America. I am pleased to call the first plenary presenter to present the paper titled Perspectives of Achieving Sustainable Education Through Artificial Intelligence and Blockchain Technology. Here is Dr. Gina G. Jackson.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me this morning. I would like to share my screen for a while. Is my voice laudable at your end?
Loud and clear, Doc.
Thank you
Loud
so
and clear.
much. Okay. Once again, good morning, everyone. I am Dr. Gina Hoxon from the Business and Management Studies of Gulf College. Together with me this morning is Dr. Revenue Halagat, my co-author in this output from Al Zahra College of Women. We are from Muscat, Oman. Today, I am going to present our research titled Perspectives of Achieving Sustainable Education Through Artificial Intelligence and Blockchain Technology. Our work delves into how to combine the power of AI and blockchain, which can fundamentally transform and sustain educational landscape, and I will walk through the findings, challenges, and recommendations. Why this study? To begin, let us establish the context of our discussion. The rationale behind this study stems from the increasing interest in leveraging cutting-edge technologies for education advancement. We aim to examine the different perspectives on how artificial intelligence and blockchain technology can contribute to educational sustainability. Our goal is to understand also the power of the synergy between AI and blockchain. We also wanted to address the existing difficulties and challenges within the academic institution by way of showing this importance of two platforms. Our research objectives were multifaceted. First, we sought to synthesize the latest research on AI and blockchain application in education, searching for the published materials from 2017 until 2025. The second objective, we aim to critically evaluate the strengths, weaknesses, underlying assumptions, and broader implications of these prior studies. This allowed us to identify the key findings regarding the combined potential of AI and blockchain. We also focused on highlighting the challenges, significant challenges that are prevalent in the implementation. And finally, our objective is to propose actionable recommendation for the collaborative and effective adoption in education industry. The research method employed is a comprehensive review of literature as its core research design. This approach allowed us to thoroughly survey and synthesize existing knowledge. For our data gathering process, we collected and examined articles published specifically for the specified, particularly in 2017 until 2025. The inclusion criteria are focused on studies that discuss the application of artificial intelligence and blockchain technology within educational setting. While this was not a traditional sample of individuals, our sample consisted of these academic articles, ensuring that we capture the latest technological development and research trends. The instruments or method of analysis involved a systematic approach to identify, select, and critically appraise these relevant studies. We then perform qualitative synthesis, going beyond mere summarization to evaluate, compare, and interpret the findings of the selected articles. This allowed us to dissect their strengths, weaknesses, underlying assumptions, and broader implications to sustainable education. Our key findings delve into the literature reviewed, which directly address our research objectives. Firstly, we found compelling evidences of promising synergy between AI and blockchain. Our review revealed that collaboration between these two technologies consistently leads to higher favorable outcomes, suggesting immense potential for education, even despite the current scarcity of studies explicitly integrating both domains. Secondly, these technologies proved highly effective in addressing core educational challenges, where blockchain enhances transparency by providing immutable or undeniable and verifiable records for academic achievements and credentials. Combined with AI, it enables truly a personalized learning where AI tailors content and path, and blockchain securely manages and verifies learning progress. They boast accessibility through decentralized resources and secure platform, expanding the reach. They strengthen the data security through cryptographic protection, safeguarding sensitive student information, and they contribute a cost-effective resource utilization by optimizing the management and distribution of educational assets. Ultimately, this leads to the transformative outcomes, creating a more engaging, efficient, and secure learning environment and acting as a powerful catalyst for innovation, fostering new pedagogical approaches and models. In this diagram, AI and blockchain synergy in education, there is an illustration where a mix of application of AI and blockchain, which is expected to uphold the perspective in attaining sustainable and robust academic system. In improving the data security and privacy, AI makes use of huge data set to operate effectively, while blockchain focuses on securely keeping the data with transparency. The collaboration of AI and blockchain can provide solutions to problems related to data security and privacy, which is vital in an academic environment. In attaining efficient verification, of course, also in credentialing, blockchain technology can keep secured academic records, while AI can help the analysis and verification process of these records. The synergy between these two assures the authenticity of records and is verified quickly, which in turn is valuable in job markets and in worldwide. education. We found limitations in these studies where the scope is only within 2017 publication until 2025. We also focus on general perspectives rather than specific case studies or empirical data. We relied only on the published literature, which has direct but not conducted a primary research. This is literature review research. Beyond our studies limitations, the literature also highlighted significant implementation challenges when integrating the AI technology and blockchain technology to educational system. The technology complexity, for instance, integrating two advanced, rapidly evolving system requires specialized expertise and robust infrastructure. This is a significant initial investment that requires development, deployment, and ongoing maintenance. The scalability concerns, which are paramount, how to do these solutions and to adapt a grow across diverse educational system and large education population. We also face issues of acceptance and resistance from educators, administrators, and even students who may be hesitant to adopt the new paradigm. And finally, navigating regulatory and ethical issues such as data privacy, algorithm bias, and digital identity governance remains a critical hurdle that requires careful consideration in the framework. Our key recommendations when there will be implications and this can be implemented, the study is clear and far-reaching. Firstly, achieving the full potential of AI and blockchain in education requires collaborative partnership. This means active engagement from academic institutions, government agencies, technology companies, and subject matter experts working in unison. Secondly, fostering such collaboration will create a cohesive environment that actively encourages the practical application of these technologies, leading to enhanced learning experiences and continuous innovation. Ultimately, this strategic integration provides a clear pathway to sustainable education, building a more resilient, equitable, and future-ready learning landscape for all. The call to action is collectively embrace this strategic integration may be working together. The hurdles of implementation can be overcome, and the possibility to unlock the full potential of AI and blockchain in shaping a truly advanced and sustainable future in educational industry. In conclusion, our comprehensive review underscores the synergy between artificial intelligence and blockchain technology that offers a profound potential for transforming sustainable education. This integration effectively addresses critical challenges such as a lack of transparency the need for personalized learning, and the data security leading to highly favorable outcomes. Thank you for listening, and thank you for having me here in this conference. I hope the insights I imparted can also be influential and can be helpful in your research interest. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hoxon. Our next paper is titled An Emerging Role of Observability and Resiliency in Modern API Quality Management, a Systematic Review. Please give a virtual applause to Amir Shabir.
Everybody, this is Amir Shabir. Am I audible to everyone?
Loud and clear, sir.
And
Okay, since our second presenter is having technical difficulties, we'll proceed to our next presenter. Our next paper presentation is titled Bridging the Gap, Embedding Research Relevance in Non-Research Environments. Please give a virtual applause to Dr. Helmer B. Montejo.
Good day, everyone. I just want to check if I'm audible or not. Am I audible?
Loud and clear, Doc.
Okay, once again, good day, everyone. Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon to all the attendees of this conference. At the outset, allow me to thank the organizing committee of this third International Conference on Management, Education and Innovation 2026, and to Dr. Rod Velasco for extending an invitation to me to be one of the plenary presenters today. And to our audience who are viewing this conference online, welcome. And to those who are physically present in STI West Negros University, Bacolod City, Philippines, mabuhay. My name is Dr. Helmer B. Montejo, and I am currently working in a healthcare service here in the United States of America. At present, I am residing in Venice, Florida, USA. For the past 6 months, I work closely with the healthcare service, and there are several things which I have observed that caught my attention. You know, as a former educator and research director in the Philippines, immersing myself in a totally different environment is quite challenging. But nevertheless, I see this as an avenue for me to continue my research undertakings. Thus, this study on bridging the gap, embedding research relevance in non-research environments. Just to give you a heads up, today I will not be presenting any material to you, but I will be presenting to you 5 high impact points on this topic. So I hope that while you are listening and keeping yourself busy with other things, you will also find time in taking down notes. So to give you a background, maybe you'll be asking, why is it that I am already involved in a healthcare service when in fact I am a former research director and at the same time educator in the Philippines? So it is because here in Florida, it is by law that we are not allowed to leave our children below 11 years old alone. So that's why being in a healthcare service is very favorable for me because I can arrange my schedule. So my wife works as a full-time nurse and I am also a part-time healthcare service personnel, and at the same time I am a full-time husband, father, helper, cook, and everything. Okay, so today I will be discussing with you 5 high impact points. And the first high impact point that I'm going to discuss with you is aligning research in the real world needs. So for the past 6 months, as what I have said, I have observed several problems within the healthcare service. And these problems for others seem normal. But for me, it is something that needs to be addressed. So the first problem which I have observed is this: the residents or members are not consuming their meal or their food. Now, I will be discussing with you first, why am I talking about residents and why am I talking about members? So here in Florida, or here in the United States, if you are housed in a facility, for example, assisted living facility or non-assisted living facility, or even nursing homes and hospice, you are not called actually patients, but you are called residents or members, especially if you are part of a community where you are buying not properties, but you are buying actually lifestyle. So in the US, there is a great number of food waste. And adding to this problem is actually the food waste coming from residents or members. So I am asking myself, what will happen to these residents or members if they are not eating their meals? Like, these members or residents are already in their 70s, 80s, or even 90s. And if they are not eating their food, what will happen to them? Because we need to consider that we are not just talking about health, but we are talking about human life. So this is the first problem which I have observed, being part of the healthcare service. Another problem is the constraints of practitioners. Like I am a practitioner, so there are some constraints. Why? Because practitioners are bound by books. We are bound to follow what is in the manual, and we are bound to follow what is in books or what are written in books. Well, while this is good, actually, because we all know that following what is written is good, but I think there is a need for us to improve. Why? Because based on observation, these manuals and books are already existing for several years. It means to say that there is no update, but it is just being printed and reprinted. So, these things, as a researcher, I felt the need to actually introduce something new or something different. So, for example, in the facility where I am working as a healthcare service provider, the food menus of the residents and or members from Mondays to Fridays are just the same, and they are presented in a 5-week cycle. It means to say that the same set of menus comes in full circle at the end of 5 weeks. So you could just imagine eating the same food for 5 weeks over and over again. So how does it feel? And that leads to the second high impact point about my study. So the first is aligning research, okay, with real world needs. Now, the second is translating knowledge into actionable insight. You know, I am residing in Venice, Florida, and if you have time, kindly Google or search this in YouTube, and you will know that Venice is actually a very beautiful city within a nice county. But more than that, Venice is actually a retirement area. If you're here, if you come to visit Venice, in which you are very much welcome, you will observe that most of the people around you are aging 70, 80, and 90. Like you will seldom see young people, okay, roaming around. You will see old people. So this is the beauty of Venice, but at the same time, it becomes very critical because we are an aging city. Most of the residents are already in their prime time. So I have observed also that in facilities, you can seldom see Asian or African descent. This could be attributed to two factors. Number one is culture, and number two is wealth. So when we talk about culture, we all know that, for example, as a Filipino, we are not used to sending our elders to home for the aged, right? But we are, we are here to take care of them until they die or during their old age. We are here to take care of them. Just like any extended family in the Philippines, we can always see our grandpas and grandmas at home. But here in the US, it's totally different. Their culture is once you are already in your prime time, since everyone is working, everyone is busy, what you will do to your grandma or even to your father or mother, if they are really really old, you will send them to a facility. You will send them to a facility. So it's totally different because we feel that it is not the right thing to do. But here in America, it is, the usual thing to do because people are working. Nobody can take care of their grandparents. Nobody can take care of their parents, perhaps. So that's why they are sending them to facilities. Now, another reason why I don't see any Asian or African descent is wealth. The white people are very rich because, in fact, when you will be part of a facility, you are going to pay a certain amount. Like, for example, in my facility, the entrance fee, or if you want to live, okay, in the facility, you need to have at least 6,000 US dollars to 1.2 million US dollars, depending on your room type. Because here in our facility, you are not buying rooms. You are not buying condominiums. You are not buying houses, but you are buying a lifestyle. So if you are already at your prime and you want to live a happy life, then you need to buy a lifestyle, and you can have it. And this lifestyle is afforded by different facilities. Now, here in Sarasota County, where the Venice or the city of Venice is uh, can be found, you can actually see here two very expensive facilities, and I am working in one of those two facilities. So they are very wealthy, and it requires a lot of money for you to be part of a facility because, again, you are buying a lifestyle. Thus, these few findings need to be communicated in accessible language. Now, as a researcher, this is what I felt. Okay, these findings need to be communicated in accessible language. These findings need to be communicated using practical tools, and these findings need to be communicated using clear recommendations. And that leads to my third high impact point. So, the third high impact point relating to my study, by the way, my study is not yet a completed study, but it is an ongoing research. Okay. The third one is fostering collaboration partnership or fostering collaborative partnership. So, as an active member of a healthcare service, I actively involved myself in healthy discussion with my managers and supervisors. So we always talk about breaking the cycle. For example, with the kind of food that we are serving. Because I have observed that food is being served, over and over again in a cycle of 5 weeks. So I always tell them, because based on the menus that we are providing, all right, most of the food in the menus are Western foods, like 90% of them, and only few are not of Western style. Like, for example, it could be Italian, it could be something else, but mostly they are Western food. So I suggested to my supervisors and managers, why not introduce something unique? Why not introduce something Asian or probably Filipino, perhaps? Why? Because I have gained a lot of friends here in Venice. And when I introduce to them our very own lumpia, if you're familiar with that, or pancit, or even adobo, they love it. So there is a way there, not only of promoting our culture, but introducing to them something new. And I am very excited because next week or 2 weeks from now, we will be having a Filipino banquet. But this banquet is only open to managers and supervisors. So I have a task to prepare food for them. Not really so much, but just enough for us to really taste it and try to check whether it is healthy or whether it is good for the residents or members and whatnot. So that is fostering collaborative partnership. You need to partner. I also see this as an avenue for me not only to penetrate in the system, but actually to understand the culture here in the US. By the way, I am here since July 2025. So very new. Not even a year. So just 6 months. So that leads to the fourth, all right, high impact point. Again, let me review. The first, high impact point is aligning research with real world needs. The second one is translating knowledge into actionable insights. The third one is fostering collaborative partnership. And the fourth one is integrating research into decision making process. Now, as an active health service practitioner, healthcare service practitioner, I encourage our supervisors and managers to do an extra mile, to take to authorities, like for example, the CEOs, on how to introduce change. Now, in Sarasota County, for example, there is only one governing body that dictates the type of food to be given to residents or members in a facility. You can have variations, but the kind of food must be there. Like the ingredients must be there. All right. For example, the number of calories must be present. So it's different. Why? Because it is operated by one governing body and you cannot just go against that. You need to follow that. So as an active healthcare service practitioner, I need to do something by encouraging our supervisors or managers to actually cascade or carry the message to the higher authorities. So there could be a change when this happens. And that leads to my final high impact point regarding my study, which is building research literacy and capacity. Now, would you believe that my supervisors and managers are only skilled, but they are not academically achievers? So when I say academically achievers, they have only reached high school, but the only thing that they have that makes them well equipped to become managers or supervisors, okay, is the fact that they are skilled. They know what they are doing, meaning they have the experience, but they have only reached or finished college or high school. So they are not actually into research. So this is the problem now. They are not into research. And for me to introduce research to them is something that they don't actually like doing. They are interested, but in taking action to do research, for them it's difficult. For them it's something that is not within their field. So I always tell them that things can be learned. I, I started as no one, but I gain a reputation in research because I keep on learning. And according to a saying that if you keep on learning, you will remain young. So that's why probably I believe that I am still young because I keep on learning. So this is where I come to encourage them to make bold steps in making change. So I am very excited about this journey because this is something new to me. I am in a totally different world, but I am still practicing what I have been practicing in the Philippines. So within 6 months, I am slowly penetrating and beginning to understand their system, specifically in healthcare service. So the road ahead is so wide, and since it is wide, there is so much that we can do and that I can do in making an impact and effecting change, not only to my community, but to my healthcare service community. So I hope that you're learning something from me today. Thank you so much for lending me your ears, and I am very happy to be back again with in the conference. So thank you so much and have a great day.
Thank you very much, Dr. Montejo. Once again, we call back Mr. Omir Shabir to present his paper titled An Emerging Role of Observability and Resiliency in Modern API Quality Management, a Systematic Review.
Yes, good morning, everybody. Sorry for the inconvenience before. Actually, my Zoom account was crashed out all of the sudden. Am I audible to everyone?
Yes, sir.
And my screen is also visible to everybody.
Very clear.
Yes. Correct. So at last, the screen is visible to everyone, please. Could you confirm it?
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. My presentation topic is an emerging role of observability and resilience in the modern API quality management, a systematic review. Before I will start my presentation, I would like to thank to the entire team of the journal and publishers, especially to the president, by the way. I would start my presentation with the following objectives. Executive summary, number one. Number two, introduction and research background. And number three, problem statement. Number four, research objectives. Number five, methodology that consists of systematic literature review. And number six, conclusion and limitation. I will try to finish within the required time. I would start my presentation with the executive summary. The modern current industry is facing a lot of problems to manage the quality of application programming interfaces that usually called APIs. Due to the predominant focus on the functional aspect of the existing standards like open API specification, specifically designed for the APIs. And some of the standards, they are providing the limited guidance towards the APIs, although on the other hand, they are providing the quality guidance or quality standards for the traditional softwares. But on the other hand, API having a unique capabilities rather than the traditional softwares like ISO IEC 25010. As I mentioned before, they are providing the quality guideline or guidance to the traditional softwares. So this study identifies the gaps between the existing quality standards and real world API operations that encourages the need of emerging API specific quality attributes like observability and resiliency. This is our novel contribution to the study. The research methodology is based on systematic literature review approach, followed by the proposal of a comprehensive framework must be validated through the industry experts' feedback in the future. Introduction will be started with the famous quotation of Aristotle, quality is not an act, it is a habit. Modern softwares, as I mentioned before, are relying on microservices and cloud native architectures due to the popularity of APIs. API failure directly impact the system reliability and business continuity. Software quality depends strongly on NFR's non-functional requirements. However, the existing quality standards such as ISO IEC 25010, the newly launched framework of the quality in 2023, I guess in November, define the traditional NFRs. These standards target the quality of journal or traditional softwares only. On the other hand, they are providing the limited guidance for the API specific quality challenges. API is providing the communication and data sharing between the application and systems, however, effectively managing their quality, especially in addressing the API related non-functional requirements, is a challenge for the organization. Based on that, we derived the problem statement that the software industry faces the significant challenges in the maintaining the quality of APIs because of the predominant focus of existing standards towards traditional softwares, or somehow they are not providing the quality guidelines. Although ISO IEC 25010 is providing the list of 9 quality attributes, but these are focusing on the traditional software's quality. Hence, we need some API specific quality attributes or non-functional requirements. Those can be addressed while designing the quality APIs. Modern APIs operate in dynamic distributed microservices environments where runtime complexity and failure propagations are common issues. Current standards do not explicitly address the runtime visibility and do not effectively support the failure handling and automatic recovery. So this gap between the existing standards and real-world API operation encourages the need to assess the observability and resiliency as emerging quality attributes for API. Our research objectives, we formulated our research objectives that we will address throughout the study. What are the critical non-functional requirement factors and that influence the quality of APIs? How extensively have API-related NFRs with specific emphasis on observability and resiliency been addressed in the existing literature? Which API quality models or framework have incorporated these two emerging NFRs, such as observability and resiliency, and how effective they are as reported in the literature? These three research objectives we will address throughout our research. Number 5, systematic literature review. As I told you, the methodology that we employed to this research is systematic literature review. Here is a comprehensive phase diagram of systematic literature review. From the total 927 articles were selected initially, but later on, by following the strict inclusion exclusion criteria, quality assessment criteria, we reached up to 15 final selected relevant articles that we use for the SWOT analysis. Hence, our systematic literature review is considering the guidelines for Kitchenham. This consists of 3 steps. Step number 1, planning the review. Step number 2, conducting the review. And the third one is a SWOT analysis. We will start with the planning the review. The first step of the planning the review starts with search process. Initially, we formulated the keywords to search the relevant articles from the latest or quality search repositories. Keywords are here on the left side: non-functional requirement, application programming interface, API quality attributes, and so on. So we selected some online search repositories to download the articles: IEEE Explorer, ACM Digital Library, Science Direct, Taylor and Francis, and so on. Then the second step of the planning the review started with the inclusion and exclusion criteria. After downloading 927 articles, we defined the inclusion and exclusion criteria based on the guidelines of Kitchenham. Inclusion criteria consist of articles should have been published within the last 10 years. We considered from 2016 to 2025. Selected articles should be relevant and provide insight into the defined research aim. Article must be written in English to facilitate the clear comprehension and future references by the researchers, as well as exclusion criteria is also defined. Non-scholarly sources such as blogs, tutorials, slides, and grey literature will not be considered. Studies which are not directly aligned with our research and will not be excluded. Duplicated articles will be removed. Articles other than the English language will not be considered as well. The third step to filter out the articles to reach up to our relevant 15 articles is a quality assessment criteria. We derived the quality assessment criteria with 4 questions. Does the article relate to the application programming interface? Does the article address the NFRs? Does the article address the quality related challenges? Does the article propose a framework, model, approach, methodology? So depends on our, all based on our domain objectives. Here is the step 2, conducting the review, where we conducted the review based on the selection of digital libraries, graphical distribution of downloaded articles. If we will just take a review of digital library wise articles, almost all the articles were downloaded from equally from digital libraries, except other articles category. Geographical distribution, most of the articles were downloaded from the Europe side, 40, that is a 40%, and the lowest article downloaded from the Africa, that is 4%. Followed by the previous mentioned slide, keywords wise article distribution. As we formulated the list of keywords, we downloaded most of the articles with the keyword non-functional requirements, and the followed by 18% of API, application programming interface, that is our core focus, and rest of the keywords will be having in between 1 to 10, almost equal percentage. Temporal distribution of the articles year-wise, almost all the articles were downloaded the equal range of among the 10 years, by the way, and the selected relevancy articles, most of the articles were selected from the others categories of the journal, and the IEEE Explore, that is 20%. Here is the literature review, a sample literature review, by the way. I just added 2 among the 15 articles. SWOT analysis literature review. I added only the 2 articles. Both the articles were selected for 2024. Just have a look on the weaknesses. Here is a list of weaknesses related to our gap. Lack of quality framework, lack of appropriate validation with a wide range of sample size, lack of focus on emerging NFRs, that is observability and resilience, and lack of SLR. So these are the weaknesses, almost the same in both the articles, those which we selected for the relevancy. Here is the quantitative analysis about the strength, weakness, opportunity, and threats. SWOT analysis. A list of weaknesses is there that is based on lack of API quality framework, lack of alignment with the existing quality standards like ISO, IEC 25210, and limited coverage of wide range of NFRs, lack of focus on emerging NFRs and their influencing factors, lack of systematic literature review. So these are the weaknesses among the 15 articles, which is almost 60 to 80% of the frequency. I would conclude my presentation with the conclusion and limitations remarks. API quality is vital for system reliability and business success. As I mentioned in the early slides, existing standards ISO IEC 25010 and open API specification are not sufficient to manage the API quality. APIs require API specific NFRs due to their unique behavior, because API is not behaving like a traditional softwares. SLR findings highlight the key emerging quality factors. These quality factors are belongs to the our emerging NFRs: observability and resiliency, fault tolerance, failure recovery, logging, monitoring. So observability and resiliency are the emerging quality attributes, and a comprehensive conceptual framework is required that can manage the quality of APIs by incorporating these two API specific emerging NFRs. There are the limitations of our study based on a limited set of 15 studies only, but in future we can expand it. The proposed framework is a conceptual and not empirically validated. The first phase of our future work is to propose a conceptual framework, and after that it will be employed in real world environment to empirically validate. Lack of quantitative evaluation matrices, because this is a systematic literature review. That's why we did not conducted any quantitative analysis of that. So that was my presentation. Thank you so much for everything, and sorry for the inconvenience once again because of the issue was happened in the start. Here is my contact information. If there would be any question, I will be happy to answer or respond to everybody.
Thank you very much, Mr. Omir Shabir. And once again, thank you so much to our plenary presenters. Before we have our lunch break, we'll have first our photo opportunity. So may I request everyone, to our participants online, to please open your camera for our photo opportunity. Thank you very much, everyone. At this time, we will have our lunch break. After the break at exactly 1 p.m. Philippine time, we will conduct the parallel sessions under the following tracks: Educational Management and Leadership, Educational Pedagogy, Business Hospitality and Health Management. Participants have been assigned to their respective Zoom breakout rooms. Kindly proceed to your assigned rooms where you will be welcomed by your respective session chairs. Please also note that the conference evaluation links will be posted later. Kindly complete the evaluation so that we may send your conference certificates to your registered email addresses. After the parallel sessions, Everyone is requested to return to the Zoom main room for the awarding and closing program. Should you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to use the chat box. Our committee members are always ready to assist you. With that, this concludes the plenary sessions. Thank you very much and see you again shortly.